MA089, Chapter 6.3, General First Degree Equations. Okay, this means there's an equation, but the variable x has exponent 1. And in this case, the equation is in this form. The variable terms are, there are two variable terms, and then they are separated. One is on one side and the other one is on the right hand side. So in order to solve this, the equation of this form is, okay, for the first step is this. Now collect all the x terms on one side. So this one applies to all the equations, all different types of equations. So first of all, we have to collect all x terms, the variable terms on one side of the equation. And then the second step is collect the constant terms on the other side. Okay, the third step is simplify each side and then write it in this form. Variable is equal to constant, and this will be the solution of the equation. Okay, let's try example here. Okay, here is an equation, 5x and 8x. There are two x terms and they are separated. So one is on the left side, one is on the other side. And 4 and 5 are constant. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this one, 8x, to the left. So when you move 8x to the left, what happens? Okay, so 8x. So we can subtract, we can put negative minus 8x each side. Okay, minus 8x each side. So let me use different color. So minus 8x on the left, also minus 8x on the right. Okay, so let me write it here as it is, 8x plus 5, right? Okay, what I did is I just subtracted 8x from each side. So you can make this one 0 as 0. This will become 0, right? How about this 2? Will be negative 3x minus 4. So that is equal to 0 plus 5, which is just 5, right? This is 0 and this is 0. All right, then simplify each side, but still we have to move this minus 4 to the other side, right? So on the left hand side contains this expression, right hand side is 5. What we have to do is move this constant term to the right, because we just moved x term, the x term to the left, right? So move this constant term to the other side. Since this is minus 4, why don't we add 4? Plus 4 each side. Then these two will become 0 as 0. So what we have is on the left, negative 3x is equal to 5 plus 4 is 9. Okay, then now what? Find x. So negative 3x is equal to 9. What do we do? X is multiplied by negative 9 with the coefficient of this term is what? Negative 3, right? Negative 3. So in that case, you can divide each side. You can divide each side by what? Negative 3. Negative 3. So negative 3 is the coefficient. This means negative 3 times x, right? Times x. So if this is multiplication, then you can divide it. Divide by negative 3. Or you can do what? From here, negative 3 times x is equal to 9. So what you can do is you can multiply the reciprocal of negative 3. What's the reciprocal of negative 3? That is 1 over negative 3, isn't it? 1 over negative 3. So multiply the reciprocal of this coefficient negative 3. Okay, then the left hand side contains only x because negative 3 and negative 3 cancel out. The right side is negative moves to the right, out to the front, and then 9 divided by 3 is 3. Okay, so negative 3 is the solution. How about this? Same thing, isn't it? Negative 3 cancel out. What you have is x on the left hand side of the equation. The right side is what? This 9 times 1 over 3 means 9 divided by 3, right? 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then minus sign, negative sign goes outside, so that is 3, negative 3. So this is the solution. Okay, this is how we solve an equation. So when there are x terms are separated, then what we do is collect all the x terms to one side. Okay, all the x terms are on one side, and constant terms, so numbers, just go to the other side and simplify each side and then find x, isn't it? And then you can check this one. Well, do we really have to check? So if negative 3 is the correct answer, correct solution, then once you plug in negative 3 for x, then the left hand side should be equal to the right hand side. Okay, let's check. Okay, let's check whether this is correct. Okay, let's check. So let's make sure if the value on the left hand side is same as the value on the right side. Let's check. So the x is negative 3, right? So 5x means 5 times negative 3 minus 4. Then 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 minus 4. Then this is negative 19, right? How about the right hand side? 8 times negative 3 plus 5. So 8 times negative 3 is negative 24 plus 5. Negative 24 plus 5 is negative 19. And they are equal, right? Equal. So the solution we just got is correct. So negative 3 is the solution of the equation, because when you check it, then the equation is true. Okay, so if your calculation is correct, then this should be always equal. Okay, let's try another example. Okay, this time let's solve 6a plus 3 minus 9a is equal to 3a plus 7. Right. As you see this, there are three x terms. So 8 terms, the variable terms. So there are 2 variable terms on the left, 6a and 9 minus 9a. One is on the right, 3a. So in this case, why don't we simplify the left-hand side? Simplify. So that means combine the like terms. Combine the like terms. So 6a minus 9a is what? Negative 3a, isn't it? Negative 3a plus 3 is equal to 3a plus 7. Okay, now we have variable terms on one side and another one on the right side. They are separated. So what we do is move 3a to the left, or you can move negative 3a from left to the right. Doesn't matter. You can move from the right to the left. So let me write the equation again. Okay, now what we're gonna do is, okay, let's make this 3a to 0. Move this one to the left. That means make this one 0. 3a to 0. That means what we have to do is subtract 3a from each side. So that this will become what? 0, right? 0. So subtract 3a from each side. Then this is equal to negative 6a, right? Negative 6a plus 3 is equal to 7. So now we have, there is a variable term on one side, only one variable term on this side. So what we have to do is get rid of this plus 3 from left to right. So this is plus 3, so we do what? Minus 3 each side. Subtract 3 from each side. So you can make this one 0, right? Make this one 0, right? So the left hand side contains only negative 6a, And the right hand side is 7 minus 3 is 4. Alright, then next step is what? Okay, the left hand side is what? Negative 6 times a, right? Negative 6 times a. So let's make this negative 6 to 1. How? If you have the same number in the denominator, then you can cross this out, right? So we divide it. Divide each side, so you can cross it out, cross negative 6 out. So what we have is a is equal to negative, and then reduce each top and bottom, numerator and denominator. So it will be negative. So this negative sign goes to the front side, and then 2 over 3. So this is the negative 2 over 3 is the solution of this equation. So if you want to check, well, go ahead. Then it should be equal. It should be all right, fine. Okay, then let's try an equation containing parentheses. Okay, this time, let's try. Okay, let me write an equation. Well, before we do this, okay, from this equation, from this example, two variable terms are on one side. And in this case, we simplify this, we combine these two variables first. But is it also okay move this 3a to the left before we combining 6a and negative minus 9a? Yes, you can, it's fine. You can put, all the x terms, variable terms to one side and constant terms to the right side. It is fine. You can do, you can do this way, but simplifying is first. Simplifying is better. So simplify each side first. If there are more than one variable terms on each side, or there are more constant terms on each side, then what? Simplify. Simplify each side. So it will be much easier. Okay, so in this case, another example. Okay, solve. Okay, this example contains variable terms, parentheses. This equation contains parentheses. Then what do? You have to simplify the parentheses, right? Simplify parentheses and remove the parentheses. How do you remove the parentheses? Distribute. So distribute the parentheses. Do you remember how to distribute the distribution property? So if you multiply 2, so a plus b, so the parenthesis a plus b is multiplied by 2, then what do? Multiply each term inside the parenthesis by this factor 2, right? So this will be 2a plus 2b, right? 2b. So we're going to do it this way. So this equation is this, so 6. So 3x times negative 2. So 3x, this 3x is multiplied by negative 2. So there is minus 6x. Everyone agree? 2 times 3 is 6, 6x, and then there is negative sign. So minus 6x. Okay, now multiply negative 1. Okay, multiply negative 1 by negative 2. Then that is plus 2. Okay, so we simplify the first at the left side, and then we remove the parentheses. On the right hand side, let's remove the parentheses by multiplying each term inside the parentheses, which is 3 and negative x, multiplied by what? 3. So 3 times 3 is 9, and then negative x times 3 is minus 3x plus 5. Okay. Then what do we do next? Simplify each side. So there are two constant terms. So why don't we add these two? Then 6 plus 2 is 8 minus 6x equals. Okay, here are also two constant terms. So 9 plus 5 is 14 minus 3x. All right, then what? Now there are x terms are separated. Constant terms are separated, so why don't we put the variable terms on one side? So let's move minus 3x to the left. So let me write the equation again. So what I'm gonna do is what? Plus 3x each side. Plus 3x each side so that we can remove this minus 3x, right? Make it 0. Okay, then combine these two. So that will be 8 minus 3x equals negative 4. Equals 14. Alright, then we have only one variable term on the left hand side, so move this 8 to the right. So in this case, let me write the equation again. And then you can just minus 8 each side, or minus 8 each side, so that these two makes 0. So what we have is only negative 3x on one side. And the 14 minus 8 is 6. Next, so negative 3x is equal to 6. We can subtract, we can divide each side by what? Negative 3. Because negative 3x is what? Negative 3 times x. So negative 3 is the coefficient. So to get rid of this negative 3, you can have the same number in the denominator. So you can cross this out, right? Cross this out. So x is equal to negative sign moves to the front. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So negative 2 is the solution of the equation. So you can check. You can substitute negative 2 for x in the equation. Then the left hand side should be equal to the right hand side. So the equation will be true. All right. Okay, so let's try another example. Okay, this equation contains a parenthesis. What is the first step for this one? Okay, the first step is what? Remove the parenthesis by using the distributive property. So use the distributive property to remove the parenthesis. And next step is combine the like terms on each side of the equation. Okay, that's what we do first, right? So remove the parenthesis by using the distribution property. So use the distributive property, which is what? So this parenthesis, 2t and 1 should be multiplied by what? Negative 3. Okay, that's the distributive property. So it will be 4 minus 60, isn't it? Minus 60, and then minus 3 equals 15. So negative 3 times 2t is what? Negative 6t. And then negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Alright, then what? Combine the like terms on each side. So the left hand side of the equation has two constant terms, two numbers. So add these two. So 4 minus 3 is 1. 1 minus 6t equals 15. And from here, okay, rewrite the equation so you will have only one variable term on one side and other constant terms should be on the other side. So let's move this one to the right. So 1 minus 6t equals 15. So what I'm going to do is what? Since this is minus 1, so we do what? Minus 1 each side. This positive 1, so minus 1 each side. Then these two will make it the number 1, 0, right? So only negative 6t is on one side. And the right hand side is 15 minus 1 is 14. And next, okay, next is the left hand side is negative 6t, which means it's a product, right? Product. So negative 6 times t. And negative 6 is called the coefficient of this variable term. Since negative 6 is in the numerator, if we have the same number in the denominator, we can get rid of this minus 6, negative 6, right? So the solution will be t is equal to negative. Simplify, reduce 14 over 6. That will be 7 over 3. So this is the solution of this equation. Okay, now there are some word questions. Okay, let's consider a lever system. Okay, this means here is a lever, like a bar here, and the distance of this bar is, let's say it is d. Okay, so the length of this bar, the lever, is d, and then here is fulcrum. The fulcrum makes this one balanced, so this fulcrum should be somewhere in this bar, and let's say a force is on the left hand side. So there is a force going down on the left side of this lever, and then force 2, another force going down on the right hand side of this lever. So depending on the force, 2 forces, and depending on the fulcrum's location, this will make balance, right? So, and then let's say the distance from force 1 to the fulcrum. So let's say this is the distance x. Then what would be the distance for this one from force 2 to the fulcrum? It should be the total minus x, isn't it? So total distance is 2. So this distance will be d minus x. So total minus x will be this distance. All right, so to make the balance, here is the formula. Okay, remember this formula because it's really simple. The formula is F1 times x. F1 is the force 1. So force 1 is on the left hand side. So this force times this distance. This force times this distance should be equal to what? The force 2 times the distance from on the right. Can you see it? So the balance, the formula is really simple. So let's say, let me draw another one. Here is like this. Let's say here is 200 pounds. Here is 100 pounds. So 2 forces are on each side, end of each side. Then the fulcrum should be where? Over here, or over here. It depends. It depends on the weight, right? Weight. So let's say the distance is 10. Then what? Then, this distance is x, then this distance will be what? 10 minus x, right? So use the formula. So the formula is what? The force on one side times this distance on the same side should be equal to what? Equal to this force, which is 100 times this distance, which is 10 minus x. Equal to, right? So this one times x is equal to this one times this distance. That's how we use it. So let's try an example. Okay, for this example, here's a level. This level is 10 feet long, and the fulcrum is 2 feet away from the right end, so that the distance from the left end to the fulcrum is 8 feet, right? Because 10 minus 2 is 8 feet. And from this, there is a rock on the right hand side, which is 100-pound rock. So how many force do we need? Get the force F2. How many forces, at least, how many forces do we need? How much force do we need to lift this rock on the right hand side, 100-pound rock? So that means we have to use the formula, right? Formula. So F1, the formula is what? What is formula? F1 times x is equal to F2 times, well, d minus x in this case. So multiply the force and the distance on the same side should be equal to on the other side. So from here, F2 is the force times the distance on the left hand side is 8. So that should be equal to the force on the right hand side, and the distance of the right hand side is 2. So we have the equation. We just use the equation. And then from here, let's find F2. So how do you find F2? Okay, we can get rid of 8, right? 8. All right, the left-hand side is 8 times F2, right? 8 times F2. That means since we have 8 in the numerator, we need 8 in the denominator to get rid of this 8, right? So F2 is equal to now what? F2 is equal to, simplify the right-hand side, 100 times 2 over 8. Okay, so you can reduce it. 2 divided by 2 is 1, 8 divided by 2 is 4, and then 100 divided by 4 is what? 25, right? 25. So the force on the left-hand side, the end of the left-hand side should be 25 pounds. So if there is a 25 pound on the left-hand side, then you will start to move the rock on the right side. Can you see it? So use the formula. Formula is really simple. Multiply the force and the distance on the same side. Okay, so that's it for this section. Then you have to try as many exercise examples. Okay, so there are many examples in the textbook, so please try those.